Have you ever looked down on someone because of how they looked? Have you ever assumed that a person had nothing valuable to offer simply because they had no money? A wealthy millionaire named Daniel Hart made that mistake, and it would become the biggest regret of his life. Daniel was one of the richest men in the city. He owned luxury cars, expensive homes, and a business empire worth millions. People admired him, people respected him, or at least that's what he believed. Every morning, Daniel arrived at his office in a sleek black car, and every morning he saw the same old beggar sitting near the entrance. His name was Samuel. Samuel wore worn-out clothes, his shoes were old, his face showed the marks of a difficult life. Yet there was something unusual about him. He never begged aggressively, he never chased people for money. He simply sat quietly and greeted strangers with a warm smile. Most people ignored him. Daniel was no different. In fact, Daniel often laughed at him. One morning as he walked into the building, he stopped in front of Samuel. "Tell me something," Daniel said. "Don't you get tired of sitting here every day? Why don't you get a job?" Samuel looked up calmly. "I've tried many things in life, sir." Daniel smirked. Clearly not hard enough. A few people nearby laughed, but Samuel simply smiled. Perhaps. Daniel walked away feeling proud of himself. What he didn't know was that life was about to humble him in a way he never imagined.
Our strategy.
Months passed, Daniel's company continued to grow, his wealth increased, his confidence turned into arrogance. Then one day, everything changed. A trusted business partner betrayed him, millions of dollars vanished, investors withdrew their support, lawsuits followed, contracts disappeared, and the empire Daniel had spent years building began to collapse. At first, he believed he could fix it, but the losses kept growing. The pressure became unbearable. Within months, Daniel lost nearly everything. His luxury lifestyle vanished, his properties were sold, his expensive cars were gone, but losing money wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was discovering who truly cared about him. The friends who once praised him disappeared. The people who called him every day stopped answering. The business associates who promised loyalty vanished overnight. One by one, everyone walked away for the first time in his life. Daniel felt completely alone. One cold evening, rain poured over the city. Daniel wandered through empty streets with his hands buried in his pockets. His mind was filled with regret. How had everything fallen apart so quickly? How had he gone from having everything to having almost nothing? Exhausted, he sat down on a park bench. As he stared at the wet pavement beneath his feet, he heard a familiar voice. "You seem troubled." Daniel looked up. His heart nearly stopped. Standing before him was Samuel, the beggar, the same man he had mocked for months. Samuel sat beside him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Daniel sighed. "I've lost everything." Samuel nodded. Then he said something Daniel would never forget. "No, you've only lost the things money could buy." Daniel looked at him. "What does that mean?" Samuel pointed across the park. A mother was sharing a small meal with her children. They had very little, yet they were laughing. "They have joy," Samuel said. Then he pointed toward a young man helping an elderly stranger across the street. "They have kindness." Finally, he pointed toward the horizon where the rain clouds were beginning to break. "And they have hope." Daniel remained silent. Samuel continued. "You spent years building wealth. But did you spend those years building character?" The question struck Daniel like a lightning bolt. For the first time, he saw the truth. He had measured people by their money. He had judged people by their appearance. He had treated success as if it made him superior. And now, the man he once considered worthless was teaching him the greatest lesson of his life. With tears forming in his eyes, Daniel asked, "How do you know all this?" Samuel smiled softly. "Because I was once where you were." Daniel stared at him. Samuel explained that years earlier he had owned a successful business, he had been wealthy, respected, powerful, But a tragic disaster destroyed everything. He lost his business, his possessions, his status, almost overnight. At first, he was angry. Then he learned something that changed his life forever. He learned that money can disappear, but wisdom remains. Possessions can disappear, but character remains. Success can disappear, but kindness remains. The rain had stopped, the sky was clearing, and for the first time in many months, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: peace. That conversation changed everything. Over the years that followed, Daniel rebuilt his life, but this time he was a different man. He treated people with respect, he helped those in need, he listened more, judged less, and never forgot the lesson he learned on that rainy evening. Eventually, success returned. His business recovered. His wealth grew again. But now he understood something he had never understood before. Money is a tool, not a measure of a person's worth. One day, Daniel found Samuel and offered him a large amount of money, house and car. Samuel accepted only a small portion of the money. Confused, Daniel asked, "Why don't you take more?" Samuel smiled, the same gentle smile he had worn all those years, and he replied, "Because happiness isn't having everything. It's knowing when you already have enough." Daniel never forgot those words, and perhaps neither should we, because the richest people are not always the ones with the most money. Sometimes, the richest people are the ones with the most wisdom, and sometimes, the greatest lessons come from the people the world chooses to ignore.